Hello, everyone.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and welcome in one and all.
Hell
Hello, Chris.
yeah, Sybil. I'm here. I'm in the
I,
building.
I see.
Bro,
Hello.
you're the worst. Not only do you show up late with coffee,
With and we don't know that it's just coffee,
you're the dude who walks into work late with coffee from
and
Starbucks.
didn't bring any for the rest of us.
Hot coffee.
Come
Uh,
on, bro. Come on.
what's in there?
What's happening? I've been sober free for about more than a year, Sybil. So it's nothing.
Okay, all right. Well,
That's facts.
thank you for that revelation. How are you, other than the need for coffee?
I'm good. Welcome. I see somebody got a plants back. Yeah.
For those who can't see it, Coy Malone, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. And Chris Paul, how are you?
I feel great. God is good, and we're going to Greensboro this weekend.
Yes, and we'll talk about the comedy brunch.
And I changed my name to What You Need to Know.
And also, we'll talk about what's going on in North Carolina as well. Big things, big things. Everybody have a good weekend. Anything
Yeah.
happen? You do
Yeah, we
anything
still
fun,
here, Sybil.
exciting?
Boy, did something happen.
Okay. Would you like to share?
I just have this theory that once you get in the criminal system and you have a record or somewhat of a record that follows you. And I had the opportunity of being harassed by yet another police officer this weekend.
So how did that come about, Coy?
I was just trying to find my way to a job that I was assigned for the day. It's an hour outside of Atlanta, an area I'm not really familiar with. I made a wrong turn. So I was driving really slow, trying to figure out where I'm going because I'm not familiar with the area. And an officer decided to like wave and flag me down. I'm thinking my trunk is open, or maybe my gas tank, or maybe there's some type of construction on the road ahead of me. And then he cuts on his lights and says, "Oh, I pulled you over because you were speeding." And I'm like, "What? No, I wasn't." And he said I was going 40. No, he said I was going 50 in a 25 mile per hour zone, but I was doing 40 and the speed limit was 35.
But you said you were driving slowly in order because
Yeah.
you were lost.
Yeah.
So 40 and a 35, first of all, 40 and a 35 is slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 over the speed limit. They give you at least 5 over the speed
They
limit.
don't
But
give you that anymore.
but he said I was going 50.
Okay. So he
And I
charged you with
wasn't.
speeding.
Yes. So once again, I have to go to court, but this time I have to go in some country hick town called Ball Ground, Georgia. There's just a lot of discrepancies on the ticket. The time frame that he has printed on, time stamped on the ticket, is a totally different time than the time I was there, because this time, as I did the last incident that I had with police, I recorded when the officer started coming up to the car, and it was over 15 minutes, or no, a 12-minute difference than what he said on the ticket. I wasn't even in the area at the time that's on the ticket.
And so when do you go to court?
October 21st.
And you'll fight it. You'll have all your facts in a row, and you'll walk out. It's just a pain in the butt. I know that, obviously.
Yeah, but my confidence is not very high in that, only because this is a very, like I said, a small hick town. I've never heard of this.
So
place
this is a good time to since your attorney is already on a retainer, I should say. Maybe it's a good time to take him with you.
Yeah, no, I did reach out to him, and he was saying, "Well, I don't think you need an attorney." Until I started explaining to him, "Hey, the area that I'm in, these people have nothing better to do." And I mean, I think he really pulled me over because, again, my car has a modification. It sounds like it's going faster than what it is. He said he visually caught me.
I've not heard
I wasn't
that
even on the
before.
gas. I wasn't even on the
I've not
gas.
heard the car
Sybil.
sounds faster than it's going. I've never
It
heard that
does.
before.
I mean, I
I
was
heard
in the
of this
process
new
of
autonomous
decelerating.
thing going on, Sybil.
Okay.
Yes, it's crazy. It's annoying.
All
And a
right. So
coworker, I
let
explained to
us
a
move
coworker what
as
happened.
we follow Coy's next move into the legal system. Let us move
I'm
into the
sorry, Coy.
what you need to know newsletter
It's because of my
discussion.
tenant windows.
It is the newsletter is our opportunity to discuss situations as they affect the African American community. That is especially where Coy Malone's skills come in as the social justice contributor. And the subscription to the newsletter is absolutely free. Please go to sybilwilkes.com and give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. Coy, you have a story about a woman's interaction with police. And finally, this is in Fort Worth, Texas, and bringing about some justice for a Black woman who was wrongly detained and taken down by the police.
Yes. So in Fort Worth, Texas, a Black woman by the name of Jacqueline Craig was arrested in December 2016 when she called the police. Apparently, the backstory
Now,
is
she called the police on a
yes,
situation.
yes, she called the police. Apparently, her neighbor choked her 7-year-old son for littering. So she calls the police, asks for help. In a video that has now, I mean, it went viral then. It
It
had
went
over 5
viral, yeah,
million
6 years
views.
ago. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over 5 million views. The officer started questioning her parenting. This turned into a heated exchange, which resulted in Jacqueline Craig and her 15-year-old daughter being forced to the ground and handcuffed while a taser was pointed at them. They were forced into arrest. So Jacqueline Craig filed a lawsuit against the Fort Worth police. And now they have settled this lawsuit at $150,000. Since then, the police chief who was serving at the time has been fired. The police officer that was involved, he was put on a 10-day suspension, but as of now, he's still on duty with Fort Worth Police. There was another officer that was also involved with the arrest. He too was demoted and then I believe fired. The police chief, the former police chief, and the officer that was demoted and fired, both of them are Black. The officer involved was white. So
The police chief, I believe his name was Fitzgerald, was fired, and that had nothing to do with this particular case. But yeah, African American man is the chief of Fort Worth Police Department.
yes.
It's good to see that this thing has been settled. I don't think that the amount was enough because it was so
No.
horrific. I don't care what part of the country you in, but this was in my backyard, and to see this and to have the response like this, and knowing what could have happened, looking back on it, this was definitely not enough, and not enough for her, and the punishment to the policeman, obviously not enough either.
No, and the officer involved, his name is William Martin. As a part of the settlement, the city admitted no fault. That was a part of the settlement agreement that they reached. And also, apparently, this officer, William Martin, claimed that the police chief offered to reduce his punishment if he apologized to Craig and her family on Martin Luther King Day, which he refused in court, saying that it seemed in poor taste and it seemed like it would be insincere, and the chief was looking for some way to make himself look better. However, the chief released a statement saying that the apology had nothing to do with Martin Luther King Day. He did urge him to apologize, but it had nothing to do with Martin Luther King Day. So this officer that was involved in the arrest, I feel like he used that as a statement to try to make himself look better in the case. But it was just a mess overall, and I don't feel like justice was served. He's
Well,
still on duty.
I will tell you that the Fort Worth Police Department, and I'm taking a chance by saying this, but so many instances have now come to be known about things that have happened within the Fort Worth Police Department, not the least of which is this woman, Mrs. Craig, as well as Tatiana Jefferson, killed by a former Fort Worth Police Department officer. And he still has not gone to trial. And this is the case that we reminded people of just a few weeks ago, that she was watching playing video games with her nephew, just in her own family home. The door was open. The police were supposed to be going there to do a welfare check, and they ended up killing this woman, and without identifying themselves or anything. And so here we have this situation with a Black woman, and she's very lucky that it ended up this way,
Yes.
knowing the way things have happened in this city and in this country.
I mean, for what it's worth, the neighbor that choked the son has been found guilty of assault in that case.
Yeah.
So, but still, no justice served. $150K is nothing. I feel like they shouldn't have settled. They should have kept going. The officer should definitely be fired.
We all know the awful, often deadly consequences when someone calls the police on one of us, on a Black person. But there's no confidence among Black people in this country that we could even call the cops,
right,
and have it turn out in our favor. I mean, we call the cops because we have a problem, and they make it a problem for us. So you can only imagine how many Black people in this country just have a flat out rule: I don't call the police for nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
For nothing.
The fact that you have to haggle with that before calling is a whole problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just like as parents, we teach our children how to behave around the police. There are parents, I'm sure, telling their kids, "Don't call the cops.
Yeah.
Don't call the cops with nothing.
All right.
It's not worth it."
And if you all are subscribed to our newsletter, I thank everybody that is subscribed. But if you are not, please subscribe, because this conversation is a precursor to tomorrow's story that will be published that I wrote for Tuesday. So definitely sign up, check it out, please.
All right. Thank you. And let us move to the January 6th committee is going to have what many presume to be the last public hearing on Wednesday.
No spoilers.
Right.
Finally, the last one.
But no, it may not be, but it for this particular season, it may be. They may have other public hearings as they do their initial report and their final report on this from the co-chair of the committee, and that is the great Congressman Benny Thompson of Mississippi. So they're preparing for this, and reports indicate that it may be the last, and this is the way they word it. It may be the last active investigation hearing, or the hearing held while still the fact-finding continues. And they are still doing this, so much so that they just made an agreement to bring in the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and that's not likely to happen before Wednesday's public hearing. And so that will probably be in the final report, obviously. But one of the biggest bombs has been dropped by a former member, not a member, but a former aide on the committee. He is a congressman, former Republican congressman. His name is Denver Riggleman. And he was on 60 Minutes Sunday night, and he quit in April, and apparently he quit from the House Select Committee so that he could write a book of his own. And in this book, he dropped some pearls and dropped some bombs in his interview, especially with Bill Whitaker. And he said text messages to and from then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows revealed a roadmap to an attempted coup as Donald Trump attempted to overturn the election loss. Riggleman, as I said, was not a full member of the committee, but he was invited to participate in the investigation, and was really recommended by the other co-chair of the committee. And he led a data analyst team for the House Select Committee investigating the riot. And he said the messages connected to Meadows revealed an extensive conspiracy within the Trump White House. So it's getting curiouser and curiouser as more things are coming out. So whether he did this, the book is supposed to come out on Tuesday. So whether he did this in advance of the Wednesday public hearing or to do it, there's not a lot of happy feelings coming out of the
pushing that book. So
yeah, it's not a lot of happy feelings coming out of the House Select Committee because they like to keep their cards close to the vest. So it'll be interesting to see how they may or may not be scurrying around. He said the Meadows text messages show you an administration that was completely eaten up with a digital virus called QAnon conspiracy. And you can look at text messages as a roadmap, but it's also a look at the psyche of the Republican Party today. And there's been a lot of conversation over the last several days, if you all noticed, about Donald Trump's connection to QAnon, and especially as they are attending his rallies. Mm-hmm. He had a weekend rally in North Carolina, speaking of North Carolina, in which a number of the QAnon supporters were there giving the symbol, the single finger symbol, and the music that Donald Trump used as the background music was the theme for the QAnon supporters. And so it's very interesting to see how this is all coming about. And as all of these other things are also surrounding Donald Trump, whether it's the seizure of the classified, not classified documents at the Florida state, or if we're talking about the Attorney General of New York.
Unclassified. I just unclassified them. Done.
How crazy is that? And even Sean Hannity had to look at him when he said this, Chris and Huggy and Coy, and say, are you, he didn't say the word I thought, but are you kidding me? Really? All you had to do was think it, and we're just going to go right past that?
To be a married man, he's a horrible liar. I think he'd be better. But what's really hitting these insurrectionists over the head is America is watching these primetime hearings. Yeah. They're getting like 25, 30 million viewers.
Yeah.
It is a ratings hit.
Right. But is it going to make a difference?
Well, that is the question that remains to be seen. And here we are, less than 6 weeks from the November 8th elections. And let us hope that people do see the what could have been and where we can go. And especially that you have Huggy, and you have states like Arizona, where they have a whole slate of candidates who are election deniers. These are people who are still, and they're asking for the votes of the people of Arizona, saying that the results that happened, no, this isn't the way it should be. The guy that's in the White House, he's not our president. He did not win.
I mean, let's be honest. A huge portion of Trump supporters, they're not stupid. They know he lost the election. Right. They know he's been lying about it ever since, but still they want to side with him because
it's business.
He allows them to be racist. They believe in what he stands for, the racism and his policies, the power over women's bodies and all that stuff they agree with. But they know he didn't win the election and nothing was stolen from him. And they know he's a crook.
It's just like the rallies. Everybody had their own agenda.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody have their own agenda.
Yep.
Everybody just jumping this jambalaya pot of debauchery.
Madness. Absolutely.
They want to be racist predators and peace.
Everything.
As we wrap up our discussion about the What You Need to Know newsletter, I do want to bring your attention to a new addition to the newsletter, and this is Ministry Monday. And the wonderful Willie Mae McIver is joining us, and she talks about mustard seed faith and talking about having faith as small as a seed, as a mustard seed, and how it can grow, and how we should conduct ourselves in terms of making this happen, and action, and put actions into works, and put our words into those actions as well. So welcome, Willie Mae. We welcome you, and really enjoying your addition so far. That is the What You Need to Know newsletter. And as I mentioned, Coy Malone joining us several times a week in the newsletter with her social justice stories, and she will continue to do that. Let us move to the What's Really Going On section, our question of the day. And I chose this question for two reasons, because you may want to make your comments on something that happened last week, but this is really tangential to the question of what happened with
Say that again, Sybil.
tangential.
It sounds like you made it up.
Oh man, I actually typed in tangenitals.
No, the genitals was your spell, your quick spell words.
My picture popped up.
So our question of the day, this is a story that came about New York Congressman Jamal Bowman. This started as a question: was he trying to shoot his shot with Nia Long? This is following the breaking news of the Boston Celtics coach Ime Udoka, obviously being suspended for a year. And everybody is piling on and giving their thoughts on this. And so Friday, he took to Twitter to extend his support for Nia Long. He said, sending Jamal Bowman is a New York congressman. So, but check this out. So he's sending nothing but love to Nia Long. We're not letting a man who did recognize the luxury her presence was dim all her beauty and glory. Matter of fact, we need a Nia Long national holiday. So it turns out he's a very married man. He was just extolling the virtues of this Black woman and talking about, I know you both are nodding like, yeah, okay.
He's about to get in the same kind of trouble.
So, but my question is, and this is what he suggested for Nia Long, who needs a national holiday? How do we lift these people up who are going through such hard times? Or, just in our lives, our friends or family member, who would you like to see get a national holiday? Should there be a Huggy Lowdown and Chris Paul national holiday? Would you like that? No? Okay. Hold
on. First, Huggy and I have got to address this congressman you're talking about, right?
Okay, but let me put the question out there, okay, Chris? and I'm going to address Chris.
This
hold on.
Vulture.
So I would like to know, what do you think about proposing national holidays for people, especially people that may be going through a difficult time and you would like to lift them up? If you would like to participate in that question, please join us now, and viewers and listeners. Now, if you would like to respond to what Chris and Huggy are about to get into, that's a whole nother thing. So that is the question. Who deserves a national holiday? Chris Paul, go.
What am I responding to? The question or
no? You know exactly what you're responding to.
We would talk about these marriage hyenas out here who hang around in packs waiting to pick up the scraps of a relationship. That's exactly what he was doing online. I don't want to hear that he's married. He knows what he was doing. He was absolutely shooting his shot.
We call it crashing the board.
I mean, thank God Nia doesn't work in an office, because you know how that works.
The
brothers who work in the office with your wife, when they notice blood in the water, the cubicle pimps start walking around, shooting this shot, want to take you to lunch. They show up with Starbucks for you in the morning.
Let's go to Papa Do's, baby.
So you're saying that he is a cubicle pimp of sorts, and that he doesn't mean any good by suggesting that she get a national holiday.
He's not saying this particular guy, Sybil. He was just
I think he is.
I was trying to look out for you, brother.
Congressman Bowman. No, Chris is not thinking favorably.
He was throwing a moment.
He's trying to, as they say, speak it into existence.
I think it And there it was.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay.
We were trying to declassify the situation.
All right, Coy, what do you think? First of all, let me ask you, and along the same lines with Chris, I'm going to ask you first, who or what deserves a national holiday? And it could be yourself, since you have been going through such difficult times, and also, or someone else that you suggest, and also your thoughts about what this congressman has said and done. Do you think he is just trying to pick up the scraps and go for the blood that's in the water?
Yeah, he's like trying to halfway like do something that it doesn't seem like too inappropriate, but I mean, if he gets a bite, then he's gonna go with it.
Oh, he got bit, all right. And a lot of people going, go ahead, player. We know what you're doing.
Yeah,
a lot like
what
people, Chris and Huggy are saying.
Yeah, a lot of people do underhanded stuff. They try to play the long game. So,
I know.
Secondly,
was Cory Booker.
You ladies know, I'm sure you've had brothers reach out to y'all. The body's not even cold yet. Relationship's not even buried yet. You haven't mourned it yet. The
so,
over there
beautiful. I've been wanted you.
Oh God, not one who speaks so plain.
Where the hell you hanging at, Coy? You gotta get out that treehouse, girl. I've been wanted you.
He says that, haha, y'all are hilarious. Y'all do know it's okay for a man to show a woman love and support without shooting his shot. That's actually a thing. And then he talks about, how he normally talks about issues like this. And he's a very happily married. So, Coy, who deserves a national holiday?
I feel like grandparents should get a national holiday.
We do have Grandparents' Day.
When is that?
You don't have to shoot your shot to score.
Grandparents' Day has been a thing for years.
We're not talking about it. I've never been, aware of that. It's not made into a big holiday.
Well, if you hang out at the card store, you'll see Grandparents' Day cards. Absolutely. And I can look up the date for you, but yeah, Grandparents' Day. And I think it's in the fall.
Well, can we get an Auntie's Day? We're important.
Well, there's that.
Dangerous for grandparents to fall. I'm surprised they did in the fall. I'm surprised they did that. They didn't think of that. That doesn't even sound right.
Huggy, give us your thoughts. You want to add anything to what Chris said? Oh, Janice Brown on YouTube says Chadwick Boseman deserves it. Wakanda forever. Absolutely. She says that on Facebook. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree.
So many great movies.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, as Wakanda Forever is headed to the theaters any moment now. Yeah. Teresa Bishop, Tom Jordan deserves a national holiday, a day of music and parties in every city.
Absolutely.
Oh, he would love that. Absolutely. Says that on YouTube. Thank you for that. I'll pass that on to him. He's Tom is hunkering down with the booze in Florida as Ian is headed his way. Vernisa Smith says, give Vernisa a national holiday. Miss Facebook says that for going through all these things called life. All right, Vernisa, we crown you
Happy Vernisa Day.
Exactly right. Barack Obama, Robin Williams Bennett says on Facebook, Barack Obama now he does have a day in several states. It's not a national holiday, but I know in the home state of Illinois for sure. And so
is she trying to start a civil war in this country? You think these Donald Trump people are already crazy?
That's funny.
Announce a Barack Obama national holiday.
Coy, Serena deserves a national holiday. Charlotte Bowen Bellamy says on Facebook, yes, all hail to the Queen and happy birthday too. Coy, Grandparents' Day is the first Sunday after Labor Day. So this year it was September 11th.
Yeah, that just took all the shine from the grandparents.
Dr. Mark's Day, national holiday.
I love that. Yes, Dr. Mark's Day. Let's all crown that as a national holiday.
What did you do?
She's a brilliant.
Shut up, Chris.
She's a brilliant doctor. She's a brilliant doctor. Renita Bland on Facebook, me for always trying to see the good in people. Renita Bland on Facebook, you and Yolanda Starks White, you should both get national holidays.
We're trying to see the
Can we get speaking of doctors, can we get a Dr. Sabi Day?
I guess you could in memoriam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't have a Yolanda Starks White Day because nobody would get the day off. It's all about work.
That is the truth, Chris.
Yes, we would.
No, we wouldn't. No,
not
unless
do a lot of work, and then it would end with yoga at the end.
No, it would just be work. It's like, you can celebrate me all day, every day, is what Yolanda would say.
Hey,
but on my day, particularly,
the woman had me doing yoga in jeans.
And you did it brilliantly.
That's the first and only time I did yoga. She made me do it.
And we need you to come back and do that again. Chris, you can come and watch at least this time.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Veronica
says Roland Martin deserves a
We're not walking around with ascots talking about ourselves all day long.
I get Roland Martin.
You give Roland a national holiday?
Yeah.
You mean in Roland's head he doesn't already have that?
I'm sure he has.
Every day, probably.
Yeah. Every day is Roland Martin Day. You're right, Coy. Absolutely. Gwen Turner says Harriet Tubman on YouTube. Gwen says Harriet Tubman deserves a national holiday. Let's get her on some money. Let's get her on some other stuff as well as a national holiday.
She won't get on the money.
She won't get on the money.
They won't put her on the money.
Okay. So Jerna,
real
not
quiet,
Harriet.
like, quickly.
No.
Okay.
They made that real quiet.
and
I would go from money to a stamp.
Just ridiculous.
They won't even name a subway stop after Harriet Tubman. And she did the Underground Railroad.
She is the conductor.
She is the conductor.
And can't even get a stop on the Chris, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Minushkin stopped all that.
Dora Levette Tig says National Comedians Day. How about that?
That would be
guys?
fun.
She says that on Facebook. A National Comedians Day. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, J. Anthony Brown already thought about that. That's called the drink tank.
Well, a lot of people aren't able to see the drink tank. So for those that can't make it, sorry. Okay. Huggy says, sorry. All right. So national days. I like the idea of granting special days for people, even Yolanda Starks White, who would make us work extra on that day, Chris. We start even earlier and we'd work even longer and we could work from bed, but she would definitely want us to be working all day. Absolutely.
I'd like a national Black holiday that is in the spirit of just fun and partying. Like white folks have their St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. Every time we get a holiday, we have to celebrate something real heavy.
And we celebrate everybody else's holiday like it's ours. Cinco de Mayo,
right?
St. Patrick's Day,
right?
We celebrate payday.
We've had events like we used to have a Freaknik, but that was just an event in the country. That wasn't something national. But imagine a national holiday where Black people after work, we went to happy hours. We took over all the bars. We took over all the clubs. We had concerts all over the country and celebrated it.
And you're saying a real celebration where you don't have to also have it be a solemn celebration.
Right.
Yeah. Because we have that with the emancipation of Black folks in Texas, and now we have that as a national holiday. But sure. That is a part of it, is to recognize what this means in the history of Black people.
What would it be called, Chris?
I don't know. It'd have to be named after somebody, like they did St. Patrick's. Who would we name it after? Not
Oludamare.
Say that again.
Oludamare, but that would be like a specific belief that everybody doesn't really know or recognize. So that'd be a little different.
Yeah.
Well, who's somebody in the Black community we all recognize as who's all about partying, positivity, and having fun?
There you have Tom Joyner Day.
Or Casey and JoJo Day.
I wasn't saying get that drunk.
But Tom Jordan does like to have a party. Hey, Miss Eileen, that would be great. But they probably say we have carnival and Mardi Gras. Oh, so talking
Those
about
aren't celebrated nationally. You have to go to Mardi Gras to celebrate Mardi
and
Gras.
Carnival
Right.
is
I'm talking about something. No matter where you are, no matter whether city or suburb you live in, it's going to be celebrated by Black folks.
Hey, we can turn Black Friday into that, though.
Hey, I like that. All right. So let's continue the conversation and think about that, giving us something to think about there, Huggy and Chris and Coy. Happy National Day to whoever you said, and we will continue to talk about that National Black Folks Day. Absolutely. It's time to talk trending topics. And Chris and Huggy, tell us more about the comedic brunch on Sunday in North Carolina.
Well, no, the comedic brunch is Sunday, October 9th in Richmond, Virginia, at the Foundation Room. It's going to be a great comedy brunch. Get your tickets online right now. But this Saturday,
we're going to make
this Saturday the 1st, we're going to be at the Dynacon Center. The Dynacon Center in Greensboro, North Carolina for 2 big shows. Get your tickets at greensborohuggy.eventbrite.com before it sells out. North Carolina, we love you down there.
And they love you. And also, maybe you could go knock on some doors. I wrote a story that's going to be in, and Coy was giving a look at her story tomorrow. Mine is about Sherry Beasley. She is the Black woman who is running for the United States Senate in North Carolina.
What part of North Carolina, Sybil?
She's running for the whole state.
Well, I know. I'm just playing.
She's running to represent the whole state of North Carolina in the United States Senate, and could be making history once again. She's the first Black woman put on the to be made the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court there in North Carolina, and she's had a number of firsts in her career, and now she could be the first Black woman to represent the state of North Carolina in the United States Senate. And don't forget, Election Day is coming up. So if you run into her, tell her big fans, and we are pulling for her. Okay.
Give me her name again? Sherry
Beasley.
All right, Sherry Beasley.
CHERI Beasley.
Send her 2 tickets.
I'll pay for them. Coy, what's going on with you?
Coy, what you doing?
Do you have anything? No, do you have any events to announce?
Court, October 21st in Ball Ground, Georgia.
All right. Okay.
Huggy and I were just reminiscing. We were just reminiscing about Huggy's North Carolina roots. There was a time.
I didn't know that.
No, it's not real roots, but about 20 years ago, I think, Huggy had a regular thing where he was driving to North Carolina, bringing home like 60 gallons of sweet tea. And selling it in the DC area, because there was no, 25 years ago, there was no sweet tea. There was no sweet tea here.
And no restaurants. And
DC, you ask for sweet tea in a restaurant, they bring you some tea and some sugar packets. You got to make your own.
I never knew.
So he was down in Wilson, North Carolina, and discovered this barbecue place. And he called me and said, "Bro, this has some sweet tea that was like crack." He filled up the car with it, and he came up here, and he was a sweet tea pusher man.
I was the plug.
He was the plug.
I was the sweet tea plug. Before
Who knew?
Then they started selling it. And then
I would knock on my homeboy's door and say,
"Got that,"
and just leave that gallon right at his door. He said, "I got it, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate you."
Wow. Maybe that's the national holiday.
Yeah, but my parents are from Wilson, North Carolina, so I got
so those are legitimate roots.
Yeah, I have roots in North Carolina.
Yeah. Charlotte is where I had one of my radio jobs for about a year there at KISS 102. Talking about Tom Jordan and hunkering down and batting down the hatches. Hurricane Ian is now a Category 2 storm. It could reach Category 4 status as it strengthens in the northwestern Caribbean Sea. It will strike western Cuba, possibly as a major hurricane, and then pose a danger to Florida anywhere. And this is a long distance there, anywhere from the Panhandle to the Peninsula. Hurricane and tropical storm alerts have already been issued in Florida. It's also going to spread heavy rain, some wind inland over the southeast late this week. And it's rapidly intensifying as we speak over the northwestern Caribbean Sea, and will bring hurricane conditions to western Cuba before it heads into the Gulf of Mexico for a strike on Florida. Wow. So already travel changes are being made. The airlines are saying we're not going to be sending people in that area. They're moving their planes and equipment out of the area. And one of the prime areas that they're looking at now for a strike of Hurricane Ian is there between Tampa and Sarasota. And also strong surge warrants. I don't know if you all have seen the news reports, but they're showing some empty shelves already at the big box stores. People are out there getting generators and all the other equipment that they think they might need for tarp and things like that, and the shelves are already looking pretty bare. I remember the first time I was my first radio job was in Florida, and a hurricane came through, and I had no idea how to prepare for this. I was working in Fort Myers, Florida. That's Fort Myers. Yeah, and that was on the southwest. It was south of Tampa and Sarasota. And so I had no idea how to prepare. So they said, well, you got to go to the store and you got to get all these preparations. And so I just got in my car, drove, and I followed somebody around who was also doing the same thing. So, because I'd never had to do that before. And flashlights and all that kind of stuff.
Flashlights, condoms.
Condoms. Yeah, sure. And some whiskey.
Or you can just wear galoshes.
Or a punch-up.
So please be careful out there, folks in Florida, and check on your folks in Florida as well.
See, that's the reason why I decided not to stay in Florida. I was there for going back and forth for a long time in Miami, and it was the hurricane part for me that was just like, you know what, I just can't. That was the part that just made
so it what's interesting, Coy, is that for the 2 years maybe I lived in Florida, I never had the hurricanes always darted away. They never came. And it wasn't until I moved to Charlotte that a hurricane came 200 miles inland and hit Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
Sybil,
you've been all over, Sybil.
Yeah, a bit of a gypsy life before I got stable with Tom Joyner. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The only time I experienced a hurricane was in New York City.
Yeah, another place that you don't expect.
The place and that's when I moved to New York years ago. It was crazy.
You brought the hurricane with you?
What was that? Hurricane out Dallas, Chris? When we were in Dallas?
There was a hurricane?
Houston, maybe.
What's that drink Papa don't sell? Was that the hurricane?
Those are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And the swamp thing.
The swamp thing. That's same thing. So swamp thing, hurricane.
Yeah.
The swamp thing.
President Joe Biden, and I think as people who fly, we can appreciate this. He announced new rules that would require airlines and online travel agencies to disclose those fees for seat selection, checked baggage, and other add-ons along with theirs in their latest effort to bolster passenger protections ahead of after this rocky travel season. And sir, while you're at it, can you tell them not to charge such high fees because they are scared of not making any money until the holidays? Because already a ticket from Dallas to Chicago is like $600.
Are you serious?
No.
Oh yeah.
One way, Sybil?
Wow.
No, it's a two-way. It's a round trip.
Round trip.
Yeah, it's a round
That's
trip.
still high, Sybil.
It's
That's
still
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you might as well drive that.
Or we will Zoom the holidays. So that's ridiculous. And Coy, it's going up. So you can't say like
crazy.
Because it was like $500 a couple of weeks ago, and I said, well, hopefully, I'll catch it. It's gone up, and that's on the low end.
Wow.
That's on the low end. I mean, it's like $500, $600, $700, $800. So while you're, trying to get them to reduce some of these fees, or at least to acknowledge the fees, Mr. President, please talk to them about the ridiculous air prices.
Sound like you need to get in an argument, Sybil.
You just need to start wearing a Trump hat just for a few months.
And rip the mask off. Yeah, absolutely. Another Amazon Prime Day is on the way, ladies and gentlemen. You thought, didn't we just have Amazon Prime
Day? Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
So now Prime early
they didn't
access.
Make enough money.
Well, here's the thing, Coy. I'm not sure if they didn't make enough money or if they are very concerned about the effects of inflation and a possible recession. Because they're starting to see the effects of people, tightening their belts as a result of inflation prices. And admittedly, I mean, we're all doing that. But they are saying that they have another Amazon Prime Day, 2 days. The early access sale is set for October 11th and 12th. It'll feature exclusive discounts across all categories, as you know, for Prime members, and get ready to sign up on Prime. This is a Tuesday, October 11th, and Wednesday, October 12th, before Coy's October 21st trial date. Lots of category-wide markdowns exclusively for Prime shoppers. And of course, you remember that the summertime Prime days are in July 12th and 13th of this past year. So get ready if you are of a mind. Is anyone watching the Jeffrey Dahmer TV series?
I heard people been watching it though.
Yeah, I'm not
Have
either.
You watched it?
I'm sorry.
No, I haven't watched it. Yeah, I can't decide what to eat while I watch it.
Yeah, I was watching it, then went to brunch. No.
Oh my God. Oh
awful.
my God. Coy, you said you are watching it?
I haven't seen
I will start. I want to start. I'm just like surprised that
DC
people
Nash
that are like,
there.
oh my God, I can't believe that it was like this. I'm like, you all don't remember reading any of the stories about this? Like, this is something that has been talked about for several years since this case has closed.
1991.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that long ago. And a lot of people are still in shock. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm like, were you just living in a bubble?
What channel is it on? Food Network?
It is Netflix.
Netflix.
They said the Food Network.
Food Network.
You're sick. You're a sick man. But here's the thing. I'm not going to watch it. I lived it. So, this was a big story across the country, but we were really close to it in Chicago. And they say that whoever the producers and those behind this 10-part series said they never contacted any of the victims' families. And so they were kind of stunned to hear about this. And now they're having to relive all of this with people calling them and asking them questions or seeing something on television promoting this. And that is triggering.
What? They never contacted them.
No.
That's just being cheap.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring nobody else in and have to share any of the profits.
Right. That's awful. That is awful. Sybil.
Yeah.
They should be compensated for that.
Absolutely. But they said that they're getting they got all of their material mostly from the Milwaukee Journal and the Milwaukee Sentinel in order to, as well as parts of his book, The True Story of Jeffrey Dahmer Murders. And so there are facts and fictions to this, but the families, the victims' families are saying that they can't and they won't, but they would like to have been notified that this was coming.
I watched a documentary on Dahmer years ago, and the craziest part of it was when the police finally went into his apartment, when they finally started investigating it, this one police officer was telling the story. He said, I opened the refrigerator and I heard a loud scream. And then afterwards, I'm asking the other officers, what was that loud scream? Went up and they said, dude, that was you.
That was you. Yeah.
He saw the body parts in there.
Yeah.
They said, that was you, bruh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't realize he screamed like that.
Right.
That's how traumatizing it was.
Wow.
Now, whatever happened to the cops who brought the one dude back?
That's a good question.
Were they ever punished? I mean, you talk about incompetent.
Really. I mean, there's so many different angles to this story that, but and they have 10 parts to this
I
series.
really
so
don't
maybe
want to
it will be
watch it now,
addressed.
Sybil, after you done said that. Like they
Yeah.
didn't contact them. Well, they got to make it right. If that's the case, make it right.
And
Pay the family.
do you think
Make it
they
right.
will? I don't know that they have it in
There
them.
won't be enough public outrage for the families to get compensated. Although it just seems like the right thing to do.
So, have you guys heard about Rihanna? Let's talk entertainment. Let's move to something a little bit lighter. This is the story of Rihanna taking to social media for the first time since the birth of her son and notifying the world that she is going to be the headliner for this next Super Bowl halftime show. What do you think?
That was an actual surprise because the rumor on Twitter 2 days before was it was Taylor Swift.
Right.
And I was like, well, that ain't gonna work.
And that might have gotten back to them, Chris.
that ain't gonna work
at all, bro.
And she's, according to reports, Chris, Taylor Swift said she needed to re-record all of her albums before she was willing to do the halftime show. And so, she's gotten the rights back to her music. And so she said, thanks, but no thanks. But Riri, she's ready. She said in a tweet, Jay-Z said in a tweet, Rihanna is a generational talent, a woman of humble beginnings who has surpassed expectations at every turn. A person born on the small island of Barbados, became one of the most prominent artists ever, self-made in business and entertainment. And she posted a picture of her hand holding the NFL football, and the NFL sources saying she's in.
And it's all for free.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. They never pay the Super Bowl
halftime
performer.
They don't.
As soon as they perform, they make about $50 million on streaming.
Yeah, because they stream. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. That's
why the game was upset.
So I'm excited. That might actually have me watch at least the halftime show. But as you say, they don't get paid, but the money comes later on, obviously, a little bit later on. And I think it will get a lot of people to watch, just as they did in this last one with Dr. Dre and Yum. What do you think?
I think she's got the hits.
She got the hits.
She got the hits.
The hits and the hips. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, I'm excited. Coy, you're quiet.
I just halfway think that people are going to expect for her to come out on stage carrying her baby, because everybody's so obsessed with knowing what the baby looks like. And I think that's what people want to see, is the baby too.
Coy, you just really said that, Coy.
Yes, because I know a lot of super fans, and they just keep going on and on and on about this baby. And I'm like, y'all act like she's gonna be performing with the baby. She's not.
I know some fans, but I guess they're not super fans, because that conversation has never been had.
Not one brother that heard this news thought about her baby.
No, not them.
I don't know who the new sponsor of the halftime show is. Do you guys know? I know.
Is it Apple? Is it Apple Music or something like that?
It might be.
Be milk.
Thank you very much.
It's not Pepsi?
No, Pepsi's their last show was this last one.
Right.
Wow.
Their last sponsorship.
Pepsi and Coke don't even spend the money no more.
Right.
No.
They used to be the biggest ad buys of the Super Bowl with Pepsi and Coke.
It might be hot sauce.
Or some mambo sauce.
Mambo. Oh, okay. So
that should be our next question of the day. Who should sponsor?
Mambo sauce would take Washington getting to the Super Bowl, so it will not be mambo sauce.
I was living in hopes. I was living in hopes.
They got their ass beat by Shamar Moore and the Eagles yesterday. That's what they're calling Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia quarterback. Calling him Shamar Moore. They whooped him.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Wentz was on his ass more than Aladdin, Chris.
You don't have to ever apologize for Washington football team losing. Trust me, we are used to it. Decades. Decades.
Well, same thing in Chicago, too.
Yeah, they got beat real bad.
It is time to move to Yogi's Jules, our daily inspiration. And she says, as my grandmama used to say, it's just nice to be nice. So Be nice.
Be nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Huggy. Thank you.
My grandma used to say, "You just like your trifling ass father."
Oh God!
Everybody has a different saying from their grandmother.
I remember that.
She said that when you were a kid.
I was just 3, but I remember. I was 3. I remember.
Just like your
Huggy told me his grandmother used to have him make her a big cup of coffee with X-Lax in it.
Yeah.
Said she called it
She
called her a large coffee to go.
A large coffee to go.
We should do that. We should do that. What your grandmama used to say?
Let's do what your grandma used to say. Remedies too.
And remedies. Okay,
And
we'll do that. We'll do that next. All right.
Oh
Thanks so much, everybody.
Ooh,
have a wonderful evening and afternoon and evening, and we'll see you all again soon.
Donna Center, Greensboro.